Carol, the market is higher. The stock market certainly is. The bond market has been struggling to find direction after that 10-year bond auction. But, one thing to keep in mind is the stock market tends to rally on election day, up 9 of the last 11 election days with a median return of 0.8%.
Yeah, well, I love that statistic from Ryan Dietrich right over at the Carson Group. I agree with you. It's how we kicked off our broadcast at 2 p.m. Wall Street time. I think that is great perspective of reminding everybody when we try to read into maybe today's trade, right, and all the prediction markets, trying to get an idea of what it says about the outcome. I think that's a really good thing. Look at the own, Trump media. I mean, that stock alone has been all over the map today. So it's hard to kind of read in the market tea leaves right now.
We did see, we talked to John Authors a little earlier in our program, and we asked him specifically about how to read into DJT, whether it is actually like a bellwether for how people think Trump is going to do in the election. He said, that's one that you got to kind of take out of the Trump trade because it's so detached from fundamentals.
I'm glad he gave you a real answer. I feel like it's hard to read into that too seriously because we know that it's been so volatile, but big volume that we've seen in that stock. And you take a look at the broader indexes right now, not too bad when it comes to volume, pretty close to our 20-day average. People not really sitting on the sidelines right now. They're actively trading into these results.
Well, and of course, we'll see how they actively trade once we get any hint of the actual outcomes from the different polls. There you have the closing bell. You're looking at gains in excess of 1% for the Dow, for the S&P, and the Nasdaq. The Nasdaq, the best performing of the three, up 1.4%. S&P 500 gaining 1.25%, and the Dow Industrials, which Matt Miller was reminding us yesterday, get some new constituents on Friday, gaining 1%. And the winner of the bunch actually is the small caps, the Russell 2000.
Guys.
Yeah, gaining 1.9%. I mean, these are kind of part of the Trump trade as well, right? Because they're seen as being extra sensitive to interest rate cuts, certainly, but also protectionist measures would benefit them.
So interesting, right? All right. So going back to the big caps, guys, it's pretty broad-based in terms of the rally. 443 names in the S&P 500 to the upside, only about 60 names to the downside, Katie.
All right, let's take a look at the sector level. And I have a lot of good news. You have every sector in the green right now. It's
Unless you're shorting the market.
That's true. Then you're probably not having a good time. But I feel like you haven't been having a good time for a long time. In any case, you take a look at the sector level, leading your way higher. You have the discretionary names, a real risk-on day on our hands. Industrials, utilities, also some of your biggest gainers. What's not doing so well, your laggards on the day, materials and energy, of course. And by the way, guys, we have an election today. We also have earnings season. Let's talk about Lumen Technologies. This is an interesting one. This stock has been absolutely on fire. You take a look at the results right now. You have third quarter adjusted loss per share coming in at 13 cents. The estimate had been for 8.5 cents. So a disappointment there. You can see shares moving lower. You take a look at revenue coming in just as expected, $3.22 billion. This is a company that signed a lot of partnerships with a lot of big tech, this telecoms company trying to capitalize on AI. But currently right now, a lot of disappointment in shares.
All right. And so we have another one crossing the Bloomberg terminal and NVIDIA.
It's some NVIDIA news.
Is that
NVIDIA
not
overtaking
earnings?
Apple.
Okay, forgive me. You scared me. I'm like, it's at the end of the month. Okay, NVIDIA overtaking Apple to reclaim the spot as the world's largest stock. Man, this is kind of interesting, right? As we think about how massive Apple is, how long it's been around, the twists and turns of this one. NVIDIA, which has been the talk of the town, for the last 1.5 years. Kind of amazing to see, once again, the back and forth between these two names in terms of market cap. So let me just see as I pull it up. NVIDIA's market cap, $3.43 trillion. The stock alone, guys, up 182% so far here. And adding, again, obviously, as it overtakes Apple, 2.8% to the upside in today's trade. And why did I not have it as a gainer? I do not know. All right, having said that, let's go to some of the individual gainers. Palantir Technologies, we talked about the earnings yesterday, up 23% here. Top gainer, I believe, in the S&P 500 here. The company obviously a lot of revenue from global governments, reported third quarter results that beat expectations, raised its full year forecast, citing high demand in the U.S. for its AI software. So again, this is a stock that's up about 200% so far this year. Global Foundries, another big gainer, up almost 15% in today's trade. This is the U.S. maker of made-to-order semiconductors, top gainer in the NASDAQ 100. This one delivering a surprisingly upbeat forecast. And keep in mind that this is a name that has been in about a 2-year slump. So that upbeat outlook shows that it is really showing some upward momentum. If Matt was here, Real, I was doing this just for him. It's up about 20%
He can't stop
in today's
talking
trade.
about it.
No, he's really upset because he's like, small business, how much does it grow? It's a $3, under $4 stock here. Soaring the most in 8 months intraday. The company forecast adjusted EBITDA for the full year that beat the average analyst estimate. It is a small cap, about $393 million. It's up nearly 80%, though, so far this year, and it's about 25% of the float shorted. So just keep that in mind.
So a slightly bigger cap.
Less micro.
And this is kind of a setup for Tim, because Trump Media and Technology, guys, was up 18%. At its low, down about 8.5%.
It finally finished
down
the downside.
about 1%. We know there's two trading halts today. So it's it's bridging the two of us today.
Always a risk putting such a volatile stock on.
It should just get its own column,
but
It's a winner and a loser,
it's
a gainer and a decliner.
We don't have winners and losers here.
Sorry.
We have some decliners today, though. 6% to the downside. Archer Daniels Midland ADM saying that it will amend previous financial statements. It uncovered accounting issues, prompting the company to cancel its quarterly earnings call with analysts just 14 hours before it was due to start. ADM did say on Monday evening that it had identified additional errors in the way that it reported sales between the ag services and oilseeds, carbohydrate solutions, and nutrition business segments while testing new internal controls. Shares ended up falling today by close to 6%. Wynn Resorts falling 9.3%, Scarlet. This after the casino operator reported adjusted earnings per share for the third quarter that missed the average analyst estimates. I know, Scar, you got your eye on some companies reporting.
Yeah,
right?
let's take a look at B&G Foods. They're the home of the green giant vegetable company, and frozen food is certainly an important indicator here.
So hot right now.
As we look at how people go through and kind of deal with inflation. All right, what can we tell you? It has cut its full year adjusted EPS forecast, so that's probably why the stock is down almost 6% in after hours trading. It had seen $300 to $315 million for full year adjusted EBITDA. It's now looking for anywhere from $295 million to $305 million. As for the third quarter adjusted EPS, 13 cents, missing the average analyst estimate of 20 cents a share. Okay,
I got what's going on over at Masimo Corporation. It's the health tech company that you might know about because it's been in the news with regard to an Apple lawsuit. The company's seeing fourth quarter revenue from $581 million to $611 million. So that coming in line with estimates at $607 million. Adjusted operating income for the fiscal year, they're reporting that it will be $325 million to $336 million. That comes in above estimates of $322.8 million. The stock unchanged, though, in the after hours.
All right, let me just pick up what's going on in yields, because it's been an interesting story, right? You had the better than expected services number, which came in, and that sent treasuries down, pushing yields up. And that kind of was the story until we got the 1 p.m. bond auction. $42 billion of 10-year notes sold, decent demand, and things have flipped around a little bit here. You can see the 2-year yield that's certainly on the short end continuing to move higher, but the 10-year now little changed. And at the long end, actually, you see yields coming down.
Which is funny. You were talking about the decent demand at the Treasury auction, of course. We've all been worried about bond vigilantes, which maybe it's a talking point, but there has been this incredible run-up that we've seen in Treasury yields over the past month and a half. People are really concerned about the deficit, but then you have auctions such as this one, which are a nice reminder that there's still plenty of people out there who want to buy U.S. debt.
When the deficit starts to matter, it'll be like it won't matter at all for a while, and then all of a sudden it'll really matter, and everyone will jump on the bandwagon.
Well, won't a lot matter the outcome of what happens in Congress after polls close today? Because you said no?
No, go on. I'm nodding.
Well, if there is a red sweep or a blue sweep, then it gives a green light to a certain extent to some of these policies.
Yeah.
And, we'll see if the bond vigilantes rear their heads and say, okay, no to some of these policies.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a really important point, right? What happens in Congress will determine what whoever wins in the White House can ultimately do and what it means in terms of spending. So we'll see. All right, guys, that is a wrap. A few earnings coming our way, and then we'll on to the election outcome. That's a wrap. Our cross-platform radio, TV, YouTube, Bloomberg Originals. We do it all. We'll see you again, same time, same place tomorrow.